Hey guys, and welcome to another walkthrough of SimCity 2013. This is going to be an education themed city with a focus on medium to high wealth residents which are going to be populating my city. This is one of my most favorite cities to date. I tend to get a bit creative with the layout and whatnot, so I am really looking forward to showing you. I did want to have this video up a bit sooner, but fortunately over the weekend I came down with a severe case of the flu, which I'm still getting over, so I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit funny. It doesn't feel like it sounds funny, but you never know, sometimes you can't tell. So this is just the most pretty much generic start to any SimCity walkthrough. Unless people edit this out, I'm pretty much starting my city. But one thing I did do differently, which I don't think I've seen anyone else do, maybe it has been done, I don't know, I haven't checked, but I decided to make my own kind of tramway with roads on either side, so it's not like a high denser avenue, it's just like a tram rail in the middle with two roads next to it. And I thought that would be really fun to do, because it doesn't seem like too many other people do it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do it, but I'm not saying that no one else has, I just haven't seen it. And yeah, so education cities they're not hard, they can take a lot of time, especially if you have if you're just making money off your taxable, off your taxes and whatnot. So if you don't have any sort of other form or mode of income apart from taxes, it's gonna take a while, because some of the education facilities are quite expensive, and you can find yourself waiting for a lot of money to come through just so that you can buy like one thing. So I do take out a lot of loans, and I do in fact get one of my other cities to gift me some money so that I can speed up the process a bit. Now, with the high wealth residents, I am going to basically put them more towards the waterfront and up on the hill there, so it's kind of like, I guess a luxury, your luxury hilltop mansion or waterfront apartment building. So yeah, so it does turn out to be quite a cool city. Well, I actually had a lot of fun making this one. So yeah, just taking out some bonds here just to speed things up. I mean, it's okay to take out a bond, like go hard if you need to, but just don't do it so that you gotta like be in the red for ages. Like, I'm in the red now, but I haven't got anything to I haven't got any sort of income as of yet. I'm just doing the layouts of the city, so I do like to have everything nice and neat. So the advantages of having an education-focused city are that Sims who are educated do not cause as much crime or start fires and whatnot. They're smart, they know what to do. If you have like an industrial area, it also creates high-tech industrial factories, which in turn give you the opportunity to make a processor factory, which is in one of my other walkthroughs, so like a tech city. It also allows you to unlock certain features, so not just for your city but for the entire region. So with the university, once you eventually build that, you can start research projects, and that in turn allows you to place certain ploppable buildings, and you know that further benefit your city and the region as a whole. So yeah, so just building it up, building the city up, pretty generic type of gameplay here. One thing I will point out is if you are having, and oh sorry, I didn't mean to go to my screen brightness there. If you are having a city with no industrial, so you don't like want to cause any pollution or any low land value areas, your commercial district does need to get freight, so they do need to get freight so that they can sell goods to you know, to shoppers, and to do that you do need to have a trade port that brings in freight for your commercial businesses to use and sell and so on. Now I didn't really know that, but it turns out that in a recent update, so it was update 6, I just checked, there was an RCI tuning which made it so that commercial is more dependent on industrial, and that means that if the commercial businesses don't get enough freight, then they'll start to lose profit and they'll start complaining and start shutting down, and they won't be successful. So yeah, it's important now to have a trade port in a city that doesn't have any industrial so that your commercial can receive freight. So I have placed my first school, and I placed a lot of school bus stops because it is important that your houses and your sims do have access to a school bus stop so that they can get to school, and then they'll become educated. If they can't get to school, then they just won't go. And it's the same as if you don't have enough school buses. Like if the school bus is full, they just won't go to school, and then you will have uneducated sims. So make sure that there's a lot of you know, a lot of bus stops for them to, you know, catch the bus to school. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain how you can keep your land value really high, and that is pretty much outsourcing everything that is polluting. So outsourcing for any sort of resource or service that is polluting. So pretty much my sewage, I'm exporting that to a neighboring city. I'm buying power from that same city. I am having their garbage trucks pick up the rubbish from my city instead of me having to place a rubbish dump on my lot, you know, creating a low land value and whatnot. Instead of having to put up with any of that, just get it from another city. Create a city that's like a mining or industrial city that you don't even care if it's polluted, and have them create all those sorts of utilities and provide it to you. So that way, you know, it's a lot easier to create a city with high land value. And it is also important for you to have the usual facilities like the police station, the medical clinic, and the fire station, because they do increase the land value and they do make it more enticing for your medium and high wealth residents. Okay, so I am having a bit of an issue here with a bottleneck in traffic coming into my city. Now, I have a bit of a blonde moment here where I try to build the avenue onto there and it doesn't work, so then I just go and build the old road. I do fix this up with a much better solution later on, so please forgive that stupid little thing I've just done there. Okay, so now I'm actually going to get started on increasing the land value in general of my entire city and get some medium wealth residents moving in. So I'm going to build some sports parks and, like, you know, volleyball courts and basketball courts everywhere. And as you can see, the white area is a kind of neutral desired area where only like really low wealth residents are going to live. And then once it starts getting greener, so like the what kind of green is that? I don't even know what kind of green that is. I guess it's kind of, I don't know, a light green, I guess. When it's that kind of light green color, the medium wealth residents will start developing in that area. Then once it gets to a more of a darker green, like a really dark green, the high wealth residents will start developing in that area. So over this part here, this is actually where I'm going to start developing all the high wealth residents. So, and it's actually good how they've in the game they've categorized the parks into the wealth levels, so you know what parks are going to draw what kind of residents, so it's a lot easier for you to actually create a district of a certain wealth. Okay, so I've created this area where I'm going to put all my high wealth residents. We'll start to put them anyway. Now you can see a lot of low wealth residents are starting to move in, but I'll take care of that. I'm just going to place a lot of high wealth parks and plazas in the area, and that'll really increase the land value a lot. And then all the high wealth residents, they'll just build over the low wealth residents. You don't need to bulldoze them, they'll just build over them. And all the parks are separated into different wealth groups. So you can see down the bottom there in the UI, there's the basic, which is for low wealth residents, sports and nature for medium wealth residents, plaza and formal for high wealth residents. So whichever park you place will spawn its respective wealth group. And as you can see here, the high wealth buildings are starting to develop already and are taking over the low wealth residents and commercial buildings. Okay, so the next step in the educational development is building a high school, and that will further educate your Sims, as well as create more students for the region and the city itself, which in turn will enable you to unlock further educational buildings like the college building and then eventually the university. And one thing I will point out with the population targets is that high and medium wealth residents take up a lot more space than low wealth residents, which means that with the high and medium wealth cities, the population is actually generally lower because low wealth residents don't take up as much space and they tend to be all crammed and packed into apartment buildings and little trailers. So it's a lot easier to meet population targets with low wealth sims than it is with high and medium wealth sims, which does make it a bit more challenging and it does make things take a lot longer. But that's kind of why I've cut out a lot of the boring bits of this video, because a lot of the time it was just me waiting for stuff to happen or stuff to grow so that I could meet the population targets and eventually, progress further with my development and my goal. So as you can see, my city is developing quite well, and I've got the hilltop mansions and some waterfront apartments starting to develop, and all's looking good here. So what I am doing now is I can now upgrade the town hall, and then that's going to give me the option to build the Department of Education, not Education Facility, Department of Education. So building the Department of Education does meet some of the requirements that are needed to build other buildings like the community college and the university. Now the community college requires a city hall, a Department of Education in the region, and a total of 800 educated students per day in the city or the region. The function of it increases medium wealth residential land value, increases tech level of industrial buildings. Now the university requires a city hall, a Department of Education in the region, and a total of 1200 students per day in the city or the region. It also unlocks various technologies at various schools and increases tech level of industrial buildings as well. And no, I did not know all that by heart. I was actually reading that from the internet, so there you go. Now what I'm doing is increasing my school capacity, so make sure that everyone has access to the school buses and that there aren't any school buses that are too full and will not pick up Sims. As you can see, most of my city is now educated. The odd few that aren't, I'm not really sure. But I don't really care because, I mean, the majority of them are educated. Yeah, so just my luck, I managed to get hit by a meteor shower. This city was actually plagued by natural disasters. I have another one that comes up again shortly, and then there's actually one that I edited out. Fortunately, I built my second fire station when this happened, so my fire trucks weren't too stressed out and I didn't manage to lose a lot of buildings. And I will correct myself quickly, it's not really a big deal, but I didn't build a second fire station, I extended my existing one, that's what I did. But I do eventually build another fire station. Okay, so now I'm plopping the mayor's house, and all this really does is it just increases land value. It's nothing too spectacular, and it seems to increase the overall population's happiness, which is a good thing, I guess. But the city is looking pretty good, I have to say. Got most of it developed. I've got some nice residential areas on the hills there, and then further downtown I've got some, you know, kind of low rises. Okay, so now I can finally build a university, and this will give you the power to do research projects, which will further enable you to unlock certain buildings and great works and everything else like that. Really cool stuff, but it does take time. You do need to start research projects and have a certain amount of students attending the university per day, so it is a very timely process, and you're not going to see me do that because otherwise I would have had to play this game or this certain city in particular for a week. Okay, so now I'm actually going to start setting up the tram lines on the roads and linking everything up and giving my city some public transport. And I'm also going to increase the density too, so now you're going to start seeing some high rises along the waterfront there and a couple of random ones in the middle of the city. Now with all the high rises I do manage to run into a bit of a water crisis, so what I've done is I've just placed a water pump and put it where all the low wealth residents are, because I do have a pocket of low wealth residents over there, so plop it over there, they won't care. Well, they probably will, but it's, what are they going to do? They're just going to stay there and complain about water. They don't actually do anything. So now I am going to start placing some tram stops, and I don't know if you actually live anywhere where there are trams in your city, but I am going by the Melbourne rules because Melbourne is pretty much renowned for trams, and there tend to be tram stops at every intersection, especially in the city like the central business district. That's where a lot of the tram stops are. They're at intersections. So that's where I tend to place a lot of my tram stops. So thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you give this video a big like and subscribe to my channel. I do try and do a new video every 1 to 2 weeks. I do work full time, so I'm very busy during the week. That tends to be when I do a lot of the gameplay of my videos, and then I do the commentary on the weekends. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to see more videos. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it.